how did cancer change your birth experience?
It changed everything because estrogen is peaking in third trimester and the cancer was estrogen driven. So 33 weeks pregnant, they recommended that we take the baby out.
You guys have been engaged for, I think, like 7 years.
We're going for the world record. We would beat 1,000 married couples on who knows each other better. Guaranteed.
Our van broke down in mainland Mexico.
The engine like blew up essentially. The only option is to get back to America. I ride with this Mexican dude
For like 16 hours.
We get to the border and it's like 2 a.m. and he says, I can't get you across the border.
We sat down with YouTubers Eamon and Bec, who lived in a Sprinter van traveling the world for 6 years. Their relationship began over 10 years ago, but they're just now planning their wedding. Last year, they welcomed their first child together, who was born prematurely in an emergency C-section due to Bec's breast cancer diagnosis. We talk about leaving their corporate jobs for life on the road, having a baby in the NICU, and so much more, all in today's episode.
What's up, dudes?
And welcome back to the Unplanned podcast.
So much energy.
Eamon and Bec, thank you so much for being here. I feel like you guys have the most unique life that I've ever heard of, and I am so excited just to get to learn from you, talk to you. I mean, you guys lived in a van for many years. You guys have been engaged for, I think, like 7 years.
We're going for the world record.
So, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you
guys.
for having us. We're
Yes.
stoked.
I was just saying to you off camera that I had the pleasure of really getting to know you guys because we're doing like a pod swap.
Yes.
So I like to creep on my peeps, and it's no wonder you are so popular and so loved by so many people. Honestly, I'm gonna get emotional, but you're just such authentic, beautiful people, and the honor is really ours to be sat with you here today, and I can't wait to learn from you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. You were so kind. No,
It's true.
Wow.
we feel that same exact way about you guys.
It's true.
I don't know what to say. That was really nice. That was like the nicest thing. That's the nicest thing I've ever been
Get
told.
used to it, man.
Wow.
We got way more.
No,
I'm so
I tuned
sweet.
into my heart on the way here. I was like, I just can't wait to meet you guys and just express that truly. Honestly, I think the world needs more authentic people online, and I think you both are doing it, you know?
And it's so inspiring to see like how hardworking you are too. You obviously have an amazing family and seem to have that on lock. And then also the amount of content I see from you. Every time I open up my freaking feed, I see it and I'm like, we're not doing enough. These guys have posted 3 TikToks
issue,
today.
baby. You can't be.
No, I'm just kidding.
Don't
But
be comparing.
it is inspiring.
I just want to brag on you guys because I can't even imagine going through what you guys have been through this past year and even years before that. And I just feel so encouraged by your story and what you're doing. And meanwhile, like you're growing a family and running a tea company and so much. So I want to go back to the beginning, I guess, back to Eamon. You at one point were Bec's boss and then you guys started dating. I want to say that's how you guys first met, but can we go back to the days of living in a van? Because I just think that's so fascinating that you guys did that, like van life. You actually did it. Mm-hmm. How long did you guys live in a van for?
Well, yeah, if you want to talk about me being her boss as well, like that's my favorite topic because the tides have definitely shifted now.
Let's start there. Yeah. Okay. So you were Bec's boss.
So it's funny because
So much pride in that.
so in Canada we have like university, which is like typically a 4-year degree, and then we have
Okay.
college, which you guys I think would call community college. So I went to community college, which is like a 2-year degree, and she went to a prestigious university.
Okay.
And then we applied for the same job, and I got the job. So
Oh,
It's
you
like
were for the
misogynistic.
exact same
It's just
job.
dudes winning in life. Don't worry.
It's just
yeah, I crushed the interview. Anyway, so then she was actually working at the company for so long. She was way more qualified than me, but I ended up being her boss for a few years, and that's how we met. Like when we
Few months, actually. You were
Yeah,
only my
you're right.
boss for a few months.
You're right.
And really, Eamon excelled at that company because I was his reporting
Right-hand lady.
Yeah, exactly. So we met working together, but I think it was really beautiful because it showed us how much we love working together. So before we were even a couple, we knew what it the dynamic of boss.
It's all we've ever known.
Yeah.
Is working together.
Truly.
And also like having such a strong friendship. Like we both admit that we liked each other when we started working. She was way out of my league. I was typically going for much less educated type girls. And she was like really smart and gorgeous and super loving. And so anyway, so we were working together, and then I basically said like, I'm going to quit my job and go travel. And she's like, well, I'm waiting to hear back from a cruise ship, so I'll join you. So we ended up going to Thailand, and then within a few nights in Thailand, some things happened. We hooked up, and then
were you guys dating at that point?
well, we weren't like dating, but we were like traveling
We
together.
were just in love.
You want to know like the deets or what?
No, I'm just like, what do you?
Let's go back.
No, I guess what was the title of your relationship at that point?
Friend. Well, like depends who you ask. If you ask like my family and her family, you're like, oh, it's a matter of time kind of thing.
Yeah. So everyone we would meet, like we were backpackers. We were 20 years old and backpacking the world, and we would be in a room with like 20 people, and they'd be like, oh, so how long have you guys been together? And I'd be over there and he'd be over there.
We kept getting that.
And I'm like, no, he's just my friend. But we were totally in love.
We didn't want to
like,
admit it.
It was just a matter of time. But I think we were both in a phase of life. Like I had long-term relationships in university and stuff, and I loved being single. So it's like that old thing they say, when you don't want a relationship, it happens for you. Or when you're like really happy being alone, then the love kind of happens. So that's what happened for us.
We were going to travel Asia and then go and live in Australia. And I kept being like, I'm going to meet the most sexy Australian girl. You wait, Bec. And then, she became the sexy Canadian girl.
What did your parents think about all this? Like you guys just randomly leaving the country?
Yeah, you kind of just were like, yeah, I said I was going to go travel and you're going to travel. And then we just did it together. Like that was a big leap together. Like,
Yeah.
I guess you've known each other already at that point for a couple years.
Well, but then like your parents are much more traditional. Like we had like a dinner where it's like, bring this Eamon guy over for dinner. And like I went and met her family, and then her family was just like, oh, like there's something special between you two. Like they could tell.
Yeah, I think we fast forward our life because we think it's normal, but I will go back because that was a big moment. Like we had these career jobs that we had gone to school for, and we were working in our careers, and something just came over both of us, and we're like, oh, there's got to be more to life than this.
Yeah.
Like it was really a grind at this company for very little pay, which I think is very normal for entry level jobs.
$38,000 a year.
Yeah,
That's what we were getting paid, and we were working like
Canadian.
Yeah. Do you know what Canadian is?
Is Canadian worth
Not
less
good.
than the US dollar?
Quite
Way less.
significantly less.
Like 30% less.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
so we're talking like I can't do quick math in my head, but somewhere around 30 grand probably
Yeah.
US dollars.
Yeah.
And you guys were how old at the time?
Just 20. Like it was
Okay.
young. It was an entry level job for sure. But I think we both bring such energy to our work. And we were like, whoa, like all of this 80 hours and all this energy for very little back. And I had applied to dance on cruise ships. So I grew up dancing and
No way.
Yeah, I know that about you guys. You're like performers. So I was just waiting, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. I'm just going to wait for the call, because did you guys ever it's very particular. Like you have to have the right head size for wigs, and like you have to match with like the male partner that works. And it's like all of these things have to come together for
Wow.
it to be your time. So I was like, I'll work at this job. And then, and then he said, oh, well, I'm going to go to Asia. And I'm like, oh, I could wait for my cruise ship call in Asia. So then I tagged on and started
And at that
backpacking.
point, you guys weren't YouTubers, right? So you were just bumming it, right? You
Yeah,
went out
We
with
Total
saved
bums.
up like $10,000 and we booked a one-way ticket to Thailand. With like that's the first time I
like
discovered YouTube actually, is because I'd go home and try and search like Thailand, like what do the streets of Thailand look like on YouTube, and I'd see these really crappy GoPro videos. So I bought a GoPro and we made our first video. It's the worst video you could imagine. It's like a shaky GoPro clip out of the bus, out of the train. Like it was just horrible.
No talking to
But-
camera, and we'd like message everyone at home like, have you watched our 30-minute episode? Like, why aren't you watching it?
But
I'm like,
we
well, no,
uploaded it to
duh.
YouTube purely to share with our family. That was our first
That's
upload.
cool. That's
Yeah.
really sweet.
It's funny you mentioned the crappy footage, because I went back and edited our honeymoon vlog from over 5 years ago, and same thing. I was looking at this footage. I was like, "What was I thinking,
Yeah.
man?"
It's like
this
me
is-
recording.
I was like, "This no." But I was like, "This footage is bad." So I had to. It took me a while.
But at the time, do you remember like doing the edit and you were like, this is the
Yes.
dopest thing ever?
And there, because like, you're somewhere new that you've never been before.
Yeah.
You were just so excited.
Yeah.
Like adrenaline overload, just so excited to be somewhere out of where you grew up, and everything's new and everything's exciting. Did your parents, did they have any concern for you guys going to Thailand and like, hey, maybe you should focus a little bit more on your career? Like, what were they saying to you?
Honestly, my parents are so amazing. They didn't want anything crazy for their lives, or maybe they did, but they ended up like as a teacher and a cop essentially, and they just always supported me, whether they understood it or not. They were like, you got to go and follow your heart, and that's what they kind of set. I think they were really nervous and kind of like,
But
what's
both
going
our
on?
set of parents were very supportive.
Yeah.
They had no idea it was going to turn into like 6 years that we basically didn't come home. We'd come home like Christmas and the odd time. But yeah, overall, like they were always like, when are you moving home? When are you moving home? But they saw how happy we were. And, you know.
I think that's the thing about, as we're all parents now, like I can only imagine Frankie coming to me one day and being like, I really want to go and do this thing. Maybe I don't understand it, but if her heart is in it, I'm like, go for it, babe. You know, like I can't imagine saying no.
Yeah.
Even if I don't understand it, I feel like I hope to be that kind of parent. So our parents are amazing.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever think to do van life with Frankie?
Oh gosh. I was just saying to Eamon the other day, I think we should do like a fun trip,
Yeah.
but we are way too like creature comforts now. Like, I don't know.
Honestly, we lived in a van for 5 years, so we've done a lot of van life. But, you know, a trip would be fun.
What has been the most like surreal experience living in a van? I'm sure you guys have some wild stories from living in a van for 5 years.
Like we did a lot of travel in Canada, throughout the States. There was definitely some sketchy nights. Actually, a lot of it in America. Like, remember that time we were in Chicago? It's very sketchy neighborhoods. Just sleeping at night and you just hear things and you
Was
just
it
feel very
gunshots?
unsafe. Yeah, or like just like people walking by the van, banging the van, and you just like stay huddled in there. Or in New York one time, we were in Brooklyn and we were sleeping, and then this like massive crew came and sat on our back bumper.
What?
Yeah, of the, like a tiny little van. They sat there and they were just smoking a joint. And
Did
we were
they
just
know
like,
you were in there?
No. And we're like, what do
Oh.
we do? Do we stay quiet? Should we stay quiet? I was like, should I turn on the light? Should I beep the horn? Like, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And we're just like, okay, let's just stay quiet. And we just stayed quiet for like half an hour and then they left.
Did the
Oh
whole
my.
van smell like weed after that? Like what?
It was definitely smelling like weed. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think like we've had so many beautiful moments too. Like our van was in Morocco when the pandemic happened.
Okay.
So 2020, we shipped our van over from Canada to Europe and drove it all the way down to Morocco. And as the pandemic hit, we were in Morocco and they shut everything down. So the two of us and our best friend Lee were living in this tiny van together, and we couldn't even like go on the streets or go grocery shopping, but we were on the beach living in Morocco. It was kind of amazing. Like I know the pandemic was so hard for so many people, and of course there was a lot of adjustments we had to make, but that time was so special and I'll always
It felt
really
so
fond.
surreal because we were so it felt like we were so disconnected from the world. And we were just like living on the beach, like walking barefoot up the street, buying bread from the local guy and eating fruit. And then you see these clips of pandemic and everyone in New York City, they're all got masks and no one's going to work. And we were just like, what is happening with life? We literally thought life was ending. Right. And we were all scared, like, oh, should we leave? Should we leave? And we were kind of like, well, we're in the best situation possible. We've got our house. We've got a beautiful beach. The people in Morocco are so friendly. So that was like a really cool experience to be able to, you know, kind of thrive during the pandemic. We did end up leaving because we got like the last flight out, and it was quite lucky to be able to get access to that. But we've also driven down to Mexico in the van. Like we've had some pretty big adventures.
Our van broke down in mainland Mexico right in the middle.
First time going into Mexico, the engine like blew up essentially. Like metal, I don't know what actually happened, but like the metal got in the oil, and so the motor was completely destroyed. And this is our home, right?
No.
And so we're in Querétaro, Mexico, and we were at the Mercedes dealership, and they don't use the same motors. And we end up spending so much time trying to get translation, figuring out what's going on with our van. We end up figuring out that we can't fix it in Mexico. The only option is to get back to America. So we throw it on a flatbed, and I ride with this Mexican dude up to the border.
For like 16 hours, Eamon and this man.
He didn't
16
speak-
hours?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
didn't
we were
speak
in the middle
English.
of Mexico.
And we get to the border, and it's like 2 a.m, and there's like prostitutes everywhere. It's like this sketchy border town. And I'm thinking like, whoa, this was a horrible idea. Like I'm using Google Translate to talk to this guy, and he says, I can't get you across the border.
What?
And the plan was always for him to get me to Texas.
He didn't have a passport, I don't think.
And he's like, I can't do it. And I was like, what are you talking about, dude? Like my car is here. And he was like, started to offload the car. And I'm freaking out thinking I'm going to be
Where
stuck
are
in
you
this little
at
town.
this point?
I stayed back because I thought, well, I don't need to be on this. I just was like in a hotel and
This is a one-man adventure.
Well, like we have friends that are from Mexico, and they've even told us like there's parts of the border that they're very scared of.
The
Yeah.
borders
Like-
are sketch.
Like
yeah.
they're Mexican, and they're like, I love Mexico, it's great, but
It
the
is
border is where they get scared. So hearing about you almost getting dropped off there, bro.
So
like,
he offloaded your van?
So he offloaded the van, and I'm still not sure what's going on. Finally, someone else, like his uncle or something, calls me, and he explains in broken English, I'm coming to get you. And I said, well, who are you? Like, are you affiliated with this tow truck company? And I'm just like, okay, sweet, dude, you're coming to get me. And he shows up with a Subaru. And I'm like, what's the plan here, bro? And he throws chains onto the van.
Oh, my.
And drives me. I didn't even know you could do this. He like towed me across the border and like really sketched because like the hill was coming, so he had to go fast during the hill because no one was in the van like using the brakes, you know. So he could have like the van could have. It was
Rear-ended
unbelievable.
your-
did you
Yeah, it
ever,
really
did you
is.
vlog any of this?
Yeah, I think we have a whole video of it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. I need to watch that now.
Yeah.
I'm so invested.
It was hilarious. And we had made it to Texas. We ended up putting it on a flatbed, driving it to the Mercedes dealership. We made like a whole merch campaign to try and get a new engine. We sold a bunch of merch, paid for a new engine. They threw a new motor in. Then I drove back down to Mexico.
You could make a whole entire feature film about this story.
I know, honestly.
That was very resilient of you.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think
really was.
I think there's something about Eamon that like kind of our friend Louie and you were just talking about this. Like Louie's traveled the world for years and years, and it's like you both kind of love that kind of chaotic. Am I going to go to jail? Like
Yeah, like when we get a flat
That-
tire, it's like it's go time. It's like time for me to shine.
like
You know?
he loves it.
Do you
I'm
feel
like,
that? Because I feel like we're very
No,
similar.
Matt does not know how to change.
The only time I'm okay with something bad happening is like if I'm making a video, I'm like, hey, you know what? This is unfortunate that I got a flat tire right now.
Yeah.
But this makes for an interesting video.
Yeah,
And I'll
you
look back-
YouTube long enough, you start to.
Yes.
It's a weird thing. It's
and
like,
it's like you know what? It's one of those things too where if something bad happens to you, you're gonna tell people that story forever. Just like you know, now I
I
have
love
this.
memories. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this is really not ideal, but this
Exactly.
is going to be a good story one
Like I have
day.
this
Yes.
dumb memory of this stupid thing happening to me, and now I can laugh about it with my friends in
Yeah,
the future.
like
You know.
you're very, that's a good story.
yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
a good story to have.
Yeah.
So Morocco, would you guys say that was one of your favorite countries to visit? Because I didn't realize like that's pretty freaking sick that you shipped your van across the ocean. So like, where would you say from everywhere that you visited is like, where would the coolest place be that you really connected to?
We took our van down through Baja, Mexico, so like down the peninsula of Mexico, and we actually started a dog sanctuary in Cerritos. Yeah, so we just saw like all the stray dogs there, and we kind of settled last or 2 winters ago, and it felt like we were creating this community, and it just felt so wrong to be able to witness like all these stray dogs, and the culture there doesn't really consider dogs as pets, and we love dogs, and so we found ourselves like just in a weird series of events opening a dog rescue there.
It was amazing.
And I think that was like the most connected to a place that's not Canada that we've ever felt.
Yeah, we met this dude Alejandro who runs a hotel. So far, so good. Shout out in Cerritos. Really cool hotel. And then he was like, hey, I've got this extra piece of land. And he had already started like taking in puppies. And he had like a really sketchy like piece of cardboard with a bunch of puppies. And we're like, well, look, we're YouTubers. Like we could maybe like raise some awareness and try and make some money. We ended up making it way bigger than it was originally planned to be because he had a nice piece of land like right on the strip of the beach and an old shipping container. And we're like, this is perfect. We'll do a cafe. The cafe will support the dog shelter.
Aww.
And
Amazing.
Bec was actually, she was at a bachelorette party. She was away for the 3 days that this mastermind plan was being
This is
baked.
life with Eamon.
So this is all your idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea this was going on.
And she gets back and I was like, babe, like, how are you doing? Like, can I make you a cup of tea?
Yeah, so just like to let
You know,
everyone
warm her up a little
give
bit.
context, Eamon is like dream, crazy. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And he calls me sometimes like the dream crusher. But really what I am is like the grounded one who's like, okay, how can we take on like 10 projects at once? So I get back from my best friend's bachelorette and he's like, can I make you a tea? Oh, what would make you more comfortable? I'm like, what is going on? Like
What did you do?
he's like, I need you to wire a large amount of money to Alejandro. I'm like, who's Alejandro? What
30K.
for? Like, I have no clue what is happening. And it was the best thing we've ever done.
Wait,
But-
yeah. So I would say our relationship has been like very traditional, like by the book. So with finances, like you guys working together, making money together, but your finances were separate.
No, always
No,
together.
she just does the banking.
Okay.
I don't remember
He
the
just doesn't even know how to
password.
log in.
I was asking you for a loan, like.
Oh, so you guys joined your finances together, because you guys aren't married, so you
Like
guys
day one in Thailand.
pretty much.
No,
We're
yeah.
like,
One
we're
in
not gonna,
Thailand.
literally, we're not gonna be like, oh, you buying dinner tonight? Like we
I
were
think-
pretty well.
I think we had a month of like, oh, I paid for that hotel. So like then that balanced out with this. And then I was just like, what are we doing? We just,
We
Yeah.
just knew, you know. If you know, you know.
that's so confusing.
Did it take you a while to combine finances?
No.
we
We
so
also
like
had no finances to combine.
That's
really.
exactly how we were.
Yeah,
Exactly.
We bought
okay,
a car
we're
together when we were dating.
Yeah.
Like it
So
wasn't.
funny story about that is our first asset is a JBL flip speaker.
Oh,
let's go.
So we bought that in Bangkok. It was like $160. And we had a discussion beforehand, like, okay, we're buying this. This is like an asset of ours now. If we break up, like, who gets the speaker?
Seriously, it was a big move. We had like no money. It was a big deal.
Thank you to Chime for sponsoring this portion of today's episode. You guys, we just bought a house, and I was shocked at how much credit came into question when we were trying to get a rate established for our mortgage. So if you aren't already building credit, it is something you should strongly consider, because if you want to buy a house, a car, something where you're going to want to take out a loan in the future, having good credit is very helpful.
Yes, and with Chime, you can get the Secured Credit Builder Visa credit card. It has no annual fees, no interest, no credit checks to apply. You can use it anywhere Visa credit cards are accepted. You're basically building credit using your own money, which is a really, really cool opportunity. You have access to over 50,000 fee-free ATMs. That's more than the top 3 national banks combined, which I didn't realize. Like, having access to that many ATMs is super helpful, and you can easily find one near you using the Chime app. I feel like a lot of us listening to this podcast are young adults and interested in making those bigger purchases down the line, so it's really important to build high credit, and it's really cool that Chime offers this Secured Credit Builder Visa credit card, so you might want to check it out. Turn everyday purchases into steps toward your financial goals with Chime's Secured Credit Card. Get started today at chime.com/unplanned. That's chime.com/unplanned. Chime feels like progress. The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal and OTC advance fees may apply. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details.
How long did it take to go from buying a speaker together to like actually combining your bank accounts?
I mean, probably a while, because we just weren't in Canada that long, to
Yeah.
like do the paperwork. But I mean, yeah, I guess a while. So we traveled a lot. We went through Asia, and then we went and lived in Australia. We managed a coffee shop in Australia, and that's where we got the inspo for making tea. And then because when we were traveling, we would travel and spend all our money, and then we'd go and work somewhere. And so we'd work a hospitality job, like mopping the floor or making coffee or whatever. And so we were kind of sick of that pattern, and we wanted to make some real money and some reoccurring money if we could, and travel while we're making money. And so I had the brilliant idea that I was going to start a tea company. And we were back in Toronto, and she was working at like a fancy restaurant with the lipstick and the high heels, and it's so not Bec's character. So she was really just doing it to make money. Didn't enjoy it. And I was like, babe, like I need all your money. We got to buy some tea. We got to mix some tea. And so, yeah, I think that was probably the moment where we like connected the finances.
Combined our finances.
Yeah.
Lucky
And that
me.
was when we knew
Yes.
we're going to start this tea company. Why tea?
So I skimmed over that a little bit, but we lived in Australia, and I worked at a coffee shop, and the cafe owner is amazing. His name's George. And he has Indian, Sri Lankan staff in the kitchen. They developed this amazing chai recipe. And I saw how amazing their coffee scene is. And chai was also extremely popular. And the chai there was like handcrafted. So it was like blended with real spice and ginger and honey. And so then we came back to Canada, and I started working at a cafe. And their coffee was good, but their chai was like a Starbucks syrup. So I was like, we need to bring that chai back to here.
Is this your tea right here?
This is a
You should
specialty.
bring it out. Let's see
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Well, yeah, let's show it off.
This one, Eamon brought for Abby, I think specifically.
This is not the chai, but this is our new maternity blend.
Oh,
I know there's talks about a third kid, so
let's go.
Okay, sorry. I want to hear about your chai too, though. But this is really cool.
We have like I think 9 staple blends now, so it's grown from just chai. But
I
yeah.
love chai.
Yeah, so it started
I'll
as
make you
chai, and I made the spices in my mom's kitchen, and I would sell it at the coffee shop kind of under the table just to get some customer feedback. And so people were like, yo, it's amazing. And I made a kilo of this chai, put like, all the money I had together.
All my money.
Went to Bulk Bar and bought all these
All our
spices. And I went and hit the streets. I didn't even have a car. I like biked down the street to the local cafe. And I was like, hey, I'm Eamon. Like, this is my chai. And he's like, great. I love it. I'll buy 2. And I was like, all right, I'll be back in an hour. Because I only had 1. So I had to go back to Bulk Barn and make another kilo. And that's kind of how the business started. And then
Wow.
we kind of expanded quite quickly just by knocking on doors and showing our product off. And then eventually Bec was like, yo, I'll come work with you and we're going to build this. Actually, you were quite upset at
Yeah,
first
I
because
was.
you thought we were giving up on our dreams. We were making videos at the time. They weren't really doing well. They were
It
still...
wasn't even like YouTube as the dream so much as just traveling. Like I just wasn't ready to be so settled. And you said to me, don't worry, this business is going to be so successful in 2 months, then it'll just be making the money as we travel.
This is the dumbest thing I ever said.
Not so much, but it's okay.
But it's funny because around that time, you actually said that you wanted to be a YouTuber. We sat down and you were like, look at Hey Nadine. I don't know if you guys know her. She's like one of the original kind of travel vloggers or Fun for Louie.
Oh, cool.
And we were like, we can do this. Like and then we would sit down in my mom's kitchen and Bec's like, okay, like look at what Nadine did. She did like top 10 things to do in Australia. This is what we need to do. And so we'd sit there and I'd look through old footage and we'd be like, hey, we're Eamon Bec. This is the top 10 things. And I hated it, like it wasn't exciting to make that kind of content, but we were fueled to try and make a living on YouTube. So at the same time we were doing that, we were also doing the tea company. And then we hit a point where we wanted to replicate what we had going on in Toronto. We had like maybe 50 partners. We wanted to replicate that in Montreal, in Vancouver, in other markets. And we had no money to like fly there, rent a car, get a hotel, like ship the tea there. And so we had this idea to move into a van. And that's where van life kind of started. And we built out a van. We bought the van for like $8,000 and we put $10,000 into renovating it. And we made content about that. How do you build a van? How do you do solar? How do you, do laundry living in a van? And those videos started getting traction. Remember, we had like one video had like 50,000 views. We're like, oh my gosh, people care. We're not just, another white couple traveling the world.
That's really cool, honestly. Like you were like learning how to do it as you were documenting it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
How do you convert a van into a livable space?
Subscribe. I'll teach you.
I'm not a very handy person. I'll be honest. Like I'm not good at like
Got a lot
fixing
of other
things.
skills.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
don't knock
Like,
yourself.
Here's the
there's-
thing, Matt.
okay.
If you wanted to, you could.
Oh, thank you.
But you're like, you do a million other things.
Do you have curiosity?
I
Yes.
do.
Yeah, so I think that's the key, because if you care to learn how things are built, then you can figure it out.
Would you recommend just building it yourself or buying one that's already built?
It
you guys
sounds like
entering
for
your van
you,
life
maybe
era?
just buying it if it's not like really your cup of tea.
Every once in a while, Matt will just be like, maybe we should just live in a van. And I'm like, I usually just say yes, because the amount of things that he like gets ideas for that he actually like moves on towards the execution phase is like 5.
Well,
I would actually
2%.
recommend like renting it, maybe for like
Yeah.
a weekend.
See what you think.
Get a little
But
taste.
You only have one life, right? So
Yeah.
Totally.
you gotta take advantage of the life you have. I've had friends die in car accidents. Like you don't know when your final day is gonna be, so you gotta like really live it up. As like morbid as that sounds.
Matt always talks
totally.
about morbid things just
Yeah.
at the
I don't think that's morbid at all. It's like such a beautiful way
That's
to live your
real.
life.
Yes.
Our Uber driver on the way here was like, I'm great. And I'm like, really? Like, what's making you great? And he's like, I just make the choice that I'm going to be happy every day. And I was like, that is the key to life, honestly, to wake up every day and just choose happiness, because all the external stuff can be going on, but you just got today.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful, Matt.
Are
you
you
should
a
live into
yoga
van.
instructor?
No.
I think you should be. I think you'd be good at it.
She could definitely do
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
I do think I could, but I've been going to this new gym that I love where like literally it's not an emotional release, but they have like a dance party midway and I'm always crying. And I said to my sister-in-law who comes with me, I want to be one of these instructors. She's like, you totally could, but you're kind of busy. I'm like, I know. I don't really have the
I
capacity.
probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
But
I think when I'm like 60, I'll be a yoga instructor though.
Okay.
So thank
I'll
you
come.
for... Okay. Thank you.
I'm so curious because one of the ways that I found you guys was through Kara and Nate. And talking to them opened my mind to so many different things that you can do as far as travel. Like they lived on a desert island for a period of time and there was like crabs that, came up on them while they were sleeping, and just like random crap like that you'd never think of if you're gonna sleep on a desert island and not have anything and try to find your own water and your own food. What's a similar experience that you guys have had where you'll never forget that memory?
Good question.
For me, it's always about like the human beings we encounter and like the communities that open their hearts and their homes to us. So Eamon and I spent months trekking in Nepal. Like no phones, no nothing. I would read a book to Eamon at like 6 p.m. and then we'd fall asleep at 7 and then we'd get up and hike all day long. Like basically where Everest is, like Everest Base Camp, the whole thing for days.
That must have
and
been
days.
stunning.
It was amazing. But what was even more incredible were like people do organized tours and we just showed up and people would just open their door to their home and be like, come and sleep here. I'll make you a chai. Like
we bought a bunch of like knockoff North Face stuff in the town. And we didn't even really have like hiking gear or anything, but you can buy like knockoff everything. We like outfitted ourselves and we're like, all right, 11-day hike, let's go.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Were you living out of your van in Nepal?
No.
This was just like backpacker days.
Okay. Crazy. And people would literally just let you come inside their house.
Yeah. I think we would like often like tip them. Like some people wouldn't accept money, but it's just beautiful what happens when you're just open to the world because people are beautiful.
And everywhere that we've traveled, we've usually just used our credit card because there's like, the exchange, and we've been able to use a visa in Mexico and Europe. When you go to Nepal and you're hiking around the mountains, I'm guessing you probably have to have cash. I'm guessing you need the local currency.
Baht.
What?
I think it's called baht.
Oh, baht. Okay. Yeah. I was like, why did you just say butt right now?
But I think it's called baht. Is it?
I don't think so, but I love that you.
Dalbot power. Maybe I'm confused.
The best part of Eamon is like he can't like pronounce the language or do anything, but he's so confident. He just goes for it.
Hey,
Confidence gets me every time. I'm so.
What's the currency called in Nepal?
I'm just.
Oh, it's called a rupee. Never mind.
Rupee. I bet you there's another place in the world where...
Why would I go and tell people that the currency's bought? That's all it takes for me is some confidence. I go and repeat it.
But like for like 5 years, our first 5 years together, I'm like, Eamon is so smart. He knows everything. Then you realize like, no, he's just been feeding me lies.
I got away with a lot. But there is a saying in Nepal called dal bhat is one of their traditional meals. And it's like a lentil dish. So they say Dalbot power 24-hour. That's where I got it from.
So nothing to do with currency.
No.
I'm not following it. Dalbot power
is a meal, right?
Okay.
It's just a big lentil stew, basically.
Okay.
And so when you're hiking, they go Dalbot power 24-hour just to keep you going, right?
All you're eating is Dalbot. So they're like Dalbot.
It's all the fuel you need. 24-hour.
Wow.
Do you get it now? No.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I get it now. I get it.
Yeah.
That's how it is with Matt. You're like, hurry.
Hey, stop it.
One of my favorite travel experiences was in Morocco. And for me, like 2 parts. One was when we drove our van to the Sahara Desert and we're like in our van with Ontario license plate in the Sahara Desert is just like such a crazy thought, right? Like how could you even imagine that? And then we met this, we went to a restaurant, we met this local person. He says, you need to come for campfire. We were, okay, we'll come for campfire. And we just like said yes. And it's a lot later than we thought. It's now dark out and we're following this random dude into the freaking desert. And he's like, oh, but hold on, we got to stop here at my town to get the firewood. And some of us are in his car. Or no, there's 2 vans, right?
Oh, weird, yeah.
And we had the walkie-talkies, and we're like walkie-talking to our friends who are their van. Yo, is this sketch? Like, what are we doing? It's like pitch black. Like, should we keep going into this like little village? And we were so close to bailing, like, and we just stuck it out. We had like good energy from these people, and they brought us to the most amazing spot in the middle of the desert. And we had a huge campfire and guitar and. It was just like such a beautiful moment that we could have let fear creep in and bailed. Yeah. But we just like kind of trusted our intuition. And it was like waking up there the next day, we were surrounded by sand and the most amazing sunrise.
And then the next day we went to Mama's house, like his mom's, and she made us like the fresh pizza in their little oven. And we were in their community and they took us out to the, I don't want to call them gypsies. Like the nomads.
Yeah, nomad
people. They took us out
people.
to the nomadic people and we got to like live with them for a few days. It was just like
you can't plan that kind of trip, right?
And the music, they brought us to this like traditional music house and I was just sobbing because it must be the frequency of the music they play and the way they dance and everything. It was just so beautiful. That was such an amazing memory. Yeah.
How are you communicating with these people in other countries? Because I'm assuming not all of them speak English, right? Like, I think that kind of, I always felt silly when we were in Italy because I don't know freaking Italian. So I would go up to people and be like, hi, I have a question, like just hoping that, and luckily people in Rome knew English, but I felt like a dumb American because I didn't know their language.
We kind of are the dumb Canadians. Like, we do our best and always learn like hi and thank you and like some language, but Eamon Bec, the man who brought us around, spoke English. And
So
then
like
with
his
family,
mama didn't, but they would translate, and they speak French.
A lot of French
Beck
in
speaks a little,
Morocco.
like in Canada, we do learn French, so we know like a very little bit of French. But I mean, we're all so lucky that we speak English. English is, you know, the most accepted language, I would say, in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty universal.
And so you typically meet someone who can do a little translation.
And so much
But
is said in
nowadays they
body
have like
language.
the AI. Have you seen that?
Dude,
you can like
crazy.
speak into the phone, and then the phone will speak it back into a different language, and then they can speak into their language, and it'll speak it back in English. So you can literally have a full live conversation with them.
That's so
nuts.
sick.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm glad that I'm alive in 2024. I'd be screwed 100 years ago.
Are you guys into AI? Do you like ChatGPT?
I don't really know anything about it.
You don't have ChatGPT?
I do not know anything
You don't
about
have it?
ChatGPT.
I have it. I don't use it enough. I need to use it more.
Oh my gosh. I use it as like my personal assistant now. It's
That's
unbelievable.
amazing.
His
Our
dad does.
My dad, I'll be like, hey, Dad, like, we'll be on the phone. I'll be like the kids, you know, spit up on the floor again. I'm going to go clean this out. And he's like, hey, 1 second. I'm going to send you a message. He
How
sends
to
me
get
this
spit up out of
massive
carpet.
paragraph that he just copied and pasted from ChatGPT on how to get stains out of carpet and stuff. And I'm like, Dad, I know you just pasted this message from ChatGPT.
He writes it off on his own? He's like
No, he just-
plagiarizing
he'll-
ChatGPT?
He'll like
Signs it
forget
off as
that
dad.
I
Yeah,
can
he's
look
like,
this
Dad.
up myself. Yeah, he'll copy and paste it and text it to
From
me.
dad.
I love it.
My mom just went to Japan and planned her entire trip with ChatGPT. All the
Is
transportation.
it a search engine?
It's everything. It's like a really smart
Almost
human.
spooky, honestly. Like, it has like emotion. Like, Eamon said
Have you
something
ever
the other
asked who
day.
Matt and Abby are?
And he's like,
Oh, I
I'm
do not want to
so
know what this
sorry.
Can we do it?
about.
Like,
Can we do
so
it?
sorry for this must be oh yeah, like something wasn't working. And he's like, this must be frustrating, Eamon. And Eamon has him in a Liverpoolian accent. He was like, Eamon, I'm so sorry. Like, blah, blah, blah. And he has like this like amazing way to fix what we're going through. It's crazy.
That's eerie in a way.
know.
But
Can
cool.
we try this?
I'm so scared.
Hey, who are Matt and Abby?
Matt and Abby are a popular couple known for their entertaining content on social media platforms like TikTok and YouTube. They often share funny skits, challenges, and glimpses into their life together. They're known for their playful and relatable videos, which have helped them amass a large following. Are you a fan of their
Yeah, huge fan of their content. What are their kids' names?
Oh, that's weird.
Matt and Abby's son is named Griffin, and they welcomed a daughter named Poppy.
Okay, ChatGPT got that
Yo,
wrong.
How
hey,
did ChatGPT
you
know?
got that wrong, bro. They have 2 boys.
You guys have been duping all of us all this time with
We
Augie.
just have a daughter, actually.
That
So
is
when we
crazy.
asked that, it did say we had a daughter, but it gave us 2 false names, but then eventually got it. It's very weird.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, that's wrong. What were the names? Do you remember?
I think Sage was one. They were really hippie, which I really appreciated.
I really appreciate it.
And then eventually he's like, oh, you're right. Her name's Frankie.
When I first heard about you guys about a year ago, I was so excited for you because I heard that you guys were having a baby. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, we got to hang. Like, they've been to so many cool places. And I'm sure they just seemed like such amazing, fun, joyful people. And then I remember hearing the news that your cancer came back. And I was just devastated for you guys. Like, I have no words. Like, I don't even know how you, like, what you do in that moment, like when you're so excited for something that you've been looking forward to for probably years and years and years, and then it's like, wow, here I am pregnant, but I also have cancer. How did you guys approach that?
You know, like, it goes back to that Uber driver saying you have a choice every day. And I think in that moment, like, I was 33 weeks pregnant when I was diagnosed again, and it was like something came over me and was just like, that's not going to be your story. We're just going to, I don't know, live in a way that, gosh, I honestly, it's so hard. I'm so proud of who we were a year ago when we got that information and that news. We just didn't let us succumb to the fear. And of course there was a ton of fear, but we just knew, like, and I think the gift of Frankie is when you have a daughter or a child, you'll do anything to be there for them as your best self. So yeah, I don't even remember. It was all such a blur. It was a very, very intense time. Do you remember what we did?
Well, I think there's like, you know, the initial news is like so much fear. And like we lived in that for, you know, maybe a week, and like just, you know, from my perspective, like crumbled. Like I was just, you know, could barely get out of bed and think about my life and what is happening. And then eventually, like you said, like you have two choices, right? Like you can live in that fear and then basically give up, or you can be like, no, this is not my story. We're going to figure out a way. And, you know, one of the harder parts of the diagnosis is that, you know, the oncologist would say things like, there's no cure. Like, you know, there's no real options. We're going to try and manage your life as best as possible. And you hear these things and it's just like, you know, it's so, there's no like hope, right? And of course the oncologists want to manage your expectations and stuff like that. But there is a possibility and a world that you do get over it. And that's what we're doing. Yeah. And we're proving to the world that, you know, if you get a diagnosis, it doesn't define you.
Yeah.
You know, you can wake up and choose to believe that, or you can choose to acknowledge that your body is sick and it's going to get better, and it is.
Yeah. Yeah. My scans are looking amazing. My blood work is looking amazing. So everything's going in the right direction, which I think is shocking everyone except for us. So yeah.
That's really cool, because this wasn't your first cancer diagnosis.
No. Yeah. So I was first diagnosed with cancer in 2021. At the time, like I've always been like yogi, really healthy, danced my whole life, was a fitness instructor, ate really well, like no history of breast cancer in my family. So it was like really, really shocking. But I somehow knew at the time, like our friend had just passed by suicide, and I knew that it was all related. And now I've learned so much about the human body and our brain. And I think I was just sent into a very intense state of survival after she died, and a lot of fear and stress. And stress is just as toxic as eating poorly and all of the things that lead you to cancer. So
Thank you to ZocDoc for sponsoring this portion of today's episode.
You guys, I actually used ZocDoc this week. I had a doctor's appointment. Shout out to ZocDoc, okay? They make it so convenient. You can literally have an appointment on your phone from the convenience of your own home. You don't have to drive somewhere, wait in line, sit and look at the fish in the fish tank and try to find something to do while you're waiting for the doctor. And I actually got the appointment like immediately.
Yeah, you had the appointment in 20 minutes.
So convenient.
So convenient.
Thank you, ZocDoc.
ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 10,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skincare, and much more. It was so easy. They actually accept your health insurance. Like, you can search for your health insurance, put that info in, and they can show you in-network doctors near you. Like I said, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. It's just so user-friendly in an area that can be so confusing and overwhelming as a young adult. So definitely check out ZocDoc. I use ZocDoc, and you should too. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/unplanned to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/unplanned. ZocDoc.com/unplanned.
I felt like, oh, okay, I'm going to go through the treatment, which I did, and I'm going to be fine, which I was. And the oncologist was like, okay, now go live your life. And so we got pregnant, and I really never thought I'd ever be in that oncology room ever again. And then I was.
Did you have certain symptoms or was it just a shock at your appointment? Like
The first time?
actually both times.
The first time it was a complete shock. So I had found a lump in my right breast, but everyone in my life, like even doctors in my life, were like, there's just no way, like, but go get it checked, like, do not worry. And it even took them, I found it in August. I went like a week after finding it, because I just knew, like, you know, when your intuition or your gut is saying like, go. And I wasn't like a worried person. So it was like, okay, I'm going to listen to this. And then it took them from August to December to get the diagnosis. So it was like, oh, maybe it's a bit suspicious. Oh, okay, well, we'll send you for another thing. Okay, get an MRI. Like, it was very, very slow.
That's a long time, yeah.
Yeah, I think they didn't think it was either. And then it shocked everyone that it was. So I had no symptoms. Like, I was just living my life, like had no issues. And then this last time I was pregnant and I had a ton of pain in my ribs, like excruciating pain. I'm a pretty tough person. And it was like, I couldn't sit. I was like, just in so much pain. I remember one night, like, we have this projector screen at our cabin and I was like trying to sit and you had to put like 5 pillows around me, and I was pretty pregnant. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is just what pregnancy feels like. And if this is what pregnancy feels like, why do people have more than one kid? Because this is so painful. And again, I brought it up with my, not my oncologist, my OB, and they sort of said, yeah, like, this is really normal. People have rib pain in pregnancy. And I was like, okay. And then I had a lump come up on my forehead and I was like, look, I want to get this checked. And even then they were like, I really don't think it's anything, but okay, we'll check it just because of your like history. And so all of that led me to the diagnosis that it had metastasized through my body. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's the same.
It's still breast cancer,
Okay.
but it had metastasized the second time. Yeah.
Wow. It sounds like you had to advocate a lot for yourself.
A ton.
That's kind of crazy. Because I don't know that I would be that diligent with my own health to like go and pursue things. I'd probably just be like, oh, it's not a big deal.
But I think sort of a part of me was that as well. Like, even with the rib pain, it was like, oh, they said it was pregnancy. So then I waited another couple of weeks. But when it wasn't subsiding, I'm like, okay, you know, something's happening here. So, yeah.
And Eamon, when the healthcare providers were saying, no, don't worry about it, it's not like nothing to worry about, what were you thinking? Were you wanting her to get it checked out?
Yeah, to be honest, like we've talked about this, and I don't think I really ever thought it would be cancer again. Like, I really didn't think her back pain was going to lead to that, right? I thought it was pregnancy, and I thought she
pulled it doing something.
Yeah, and it wasn't till one time her back was so sore that we went to like a specialist, and he thought, oh, it's her intercostal muscle, and you know, they did a bunch of massage and different things, hydro pools, and like, you know, it was like a really high-end place. And you came back after that, and I was working on a project at the cabin, and just I saw it in your face of just how much pain you were in, and I was like, oh, whoa, this is way bigger than, you know, pulled muscle. And then what a blessing for it to show up right on your forehead.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how amazing is that, really? That it's like, boom,
Can't
girl,
miss that.
go get checked out. This is
Yes.
serious.
Yeah, the human body, I really believe, is always talking to us. Like, if you are sick, I think you need to rest, you know? Like, and it's like an excuse to rest. Or for me, it was like, you're not listening to me in your ribs. Okay, like, I need you to kind of listen to me here.
Wow.
Or your soul, I guess, is always speaking through your body, is what I believe. So it
Wow.
was saying, wake up.
And
That's
how
really
does
cool.
how does that affect giving birth? Because obviously everyone always has an idea of what they want their birth experience to be like. And I know like every woman has probably a particular way that they hope for it to go down, because it's like a really exciting time of your life to welcome a baby into the world. How did cancer change your birth experience?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed at 33 weeks pregnant, and because your estrogen is really peaking in third trimester and the cancer was estrogen driven, they recommended that we take the baby out, essentially. So it changed everything. Like, I'm a very holistic person, and I had always dreamed of having like a very natural birth. And I know nobody has like the birth story that they necessarily plan for. And I'm not like a type A kind of person. So I was really open, like whatever happens, happens. But this is like a completely opposite. You can't even predict that something like this would happen. So I ended up with a C-section because I was just in too much pain to try to induce labor and push. And
Well, you're skimming over a lot of it. We actually just uploaded a full birth story podcast, but basically there was so much misleading information because no one really knew. They're looking at scans. They're calling. We moved to Toronto, so they're calling Kingston, who was the original oncologist. Okay, they need to plan this C-section. Oh no, it's not going to be a C-section. We could possibly induce you. And so every half an hour, the information's changing.
Right after you got the diagnosis too.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're like processing like
A lot.
I have cancer. I have to get this
Baby needs to come out.
Like,
And then the one we finally go to the hospital. Then the one anesthesiologist comes out and says, "Oh yeah, I think you're good to get a induction." And then we're like, "Okay, that's the plan. Let's do that." And then a half an hour later, they change shift, and the new anesthesiologist comes out and he goes, "No, that's way too risky. We're not doing that."
It was
So
actually
we're thinking
an
like,
epidural
"Holy
for
smokes!"
a C-section where I was awake, because
Oh,
at that
sorry, yeah,
point we
yeah.
really wanted to just be able to at least like have her on my chest and have like you in the room, and then they just weren't sure about an epidural. So I ended up going under for my C-section.
like you were asleep during it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's So going into that, like, you know that you're about to like go to sleep forever, like for that experience, like what was your state like, or were you just like still kind of in shock?
Definitely shock, but I'll never forget being on that table, and the OB there was like the most beautiful woman, and she was like holding my hand, and I was just sobbing. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
There were a lot of beautiful moments in it too. We had some
Oh my
amazing.
God, she's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I love her so much, and even the her assistant or whatever, she's like, I'm gonna film all of this so you can be there and you can watch this after.
We got
And-
the video. Have you ever seen a C-section?
He watched
crazy.
it. Wait, we had a C-section with our second, and he watched them like cut me open.
It's insane what they're able to do.
Yeah.
He's standing right there, and I was like, "What's it like?" Like,
The yankage of the head is unbelievable.
yeah. Augie got kind of stuck too, so it was like crazy.
And like,
So crazy.
I mean, like, I don't know. You just see all the different instruments they're using. And
Wait, so were you there when she was under?
I wasn't there, no,
okay.
but
The video.
Yeah, they filmed
Did
like
you watch the video?
4K video.
So I didn't watch it for months because I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to like watch this. And everyone, so Eamon is just like so open, so in love with like community. I love this about you so much. He's just such an open person. So like we had a group chat going, like Eamon Bec and Frankie giving everyone updates, and he doesn't even give anyone any notice. He just sends the full C-section video.
oh my God.
So like our friends are like, before I've seen it, before anything, everyone's like,
Oh
oh
my-
my God, I thought I was just gonna see like her face or whatever. It's like the full video of the C-section has circulated our entire inner circle.
I'll show you guys.
I haven't even
Wow.
watched my own.
Yeah.
I don't actually think I'm ever going to.
Yeah, it's really intense.
I respect that. It is
I'll watch
intense.
yours,
Yeah.
but not mine.
Totally. I get that. I get yours. I've seen mine, but I know the feeling. It's like, that's my body there and my baby. It's just
Well,
a bit
actually, I
weird.
could watch during it because I could see the light, but it was just a reflection. That was enough. I was like, okay, that's what's happening, but I don't know if I want to see like details. They wouldn't let us record, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think she was letting me record so that it could be on the internet. She was recording just from her heart, which is
Yeah.
so beautiful.
I'm sorry I interrupted
is-
you. What
that
were
is
you?
beautiful.
You
I
were talking
honestly
about my
forget.
C-section. You
I
said it was
forget what I was
like
going to say. I just know it's like, it's crazy what they're able to do. And even like, they cut such a tiny hole
I know.
to pull the baby out of there. It's amazing what medical professionals can do. And they're rock stars.
I think it
Totally.
also goes to show like how resilient that little dude is, or dudette.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
they got pulled from their neck through there. Like,
you
it's
should see
okay
what
if you
happened to
take a.
Griffin. They
What?
yanked that kid out, so
Yeah.
Oh,
it was.
what
They broke
happened?
his clavicle to get him out. Yeah, so he could
whoa.
fit because he got stuck. That's why we had a C-section the second time. But I was like, this dude, they broke his clavicle. He was fine. He
Yeah.
literally didn't like. He
Yeah.
just healed.
And how are you from that?
I was
Your
worse
birth.
off with the C-section.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was like a little bit shaken up by the experience, but those post hormones, like I was like, wow, let's do that again. Like I was like, that was amazing. And
Right.
like, no,
We're
we
not
need to
doing that
recover.
again.
We need to recover. But yeah, I didn't get that boost as much with like Augie's birth. Like I think, which there's a reason for that. There's
Yeah.
like a biological reason for that. So
Yeah.
birth is just a crazy thing.
Crazy.
So you're recovering from a C-section, and then are you about to have to go through treatment then again? Is that what you're prepping for?
So there really isn't treatment if you've already received treatment, and then it essentially didn't work for me. Even though I was like declared no evidence of disease, essentially there was disease on a microscopic level in the body. So we've just had to find alternative ways to treat it. Yeah.
Would you mind? What methods are you using, or is that something that's like personal to you?
I mean, I'm really open about it, but I know that it's like alternative for some to really believe in the power of the mind. So it's a lot of meditation and inner work, hypnotherapy, and just understanding. Like I never was comfortable with them telling me I was just unlucky and that's why I got cancer. And I often find, especially with breast cancer, I identify so much with the women who have it. It's like these perfectionists, these people who are like so fit and like healthy looking, like it doesn't make any sense. And I really, really believe that, at least for me, the root cause was stress and living in that survival state that I kind of entered after losing Lee. So I'm just doing a lot of work, changing my thoughts, my inner state, and it's all coming up.
Yeah, the
great.
more you get into the work, it is really simple because her body made cancer cells and was in this stress state, and now she's in alignment And her body, if you can create disease, it can heal it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's great that your scans and your blood work are all like improving significantly.
Significantly. Yeah.
That's incredible.
I was just sharing that we used it's a tumor marker in your blood. And when I was first diagnosed, it was 130. So normal is 4. I'm currently sitting at a 12.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations.
Wow.
That's
Thank you.
incredible.
Thank you.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
It's truly amazing. And like, I know it's miraculous for so many people, but for me, I know the science of what I'm doing. Like, our brains are so powerful. Every thought we have produces a chemical, and all of that, like, your body is constantly spying on your brain, essentially. All of our thoughts are chemistry. And if I kept thinking like, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, then my cells are listening, and I've just changed. All of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something I did the other day was I took a bath and meditated with like really peaceful meditation music playing, and it was actually mind-blowing to me how big of a change I noticed just in my mood and in my stress levels. It was insane just how like changing my mindset affected so much. And we did an interview with Dr. Mike, who's a popular YouTuber who does like, videos about medical information. He's, practicing physician. And something he told us is truly how powerful the placebo effect really is. Like, when you believe something, it really does change things for you. Now, if you are, he mentioned if you're diabetic, you do need insulin to help your body and stuff. It's not like you can outthink that, but he's like, it's amazing what your mind can do when you think the right thoughts and you're positive, and it really opened definitely opened my mind up to that when I did that meditation.
I told Matt, like, I have like little to no experience with meditation, which is something I'm like, I should definitely like implement that practice. But when I was delivering Griffin, Matt turned on a birth meditation. I literally told Matt that's the only time that I literally did not understand the passing of time. I did not feel anything. I didn't feel anything. I just like literally checked out. And then they were like, oh, it's time to push. And I was like, wait a minute, I need an epidural. I was like, I feel everything. Like, I was like, that was so crazy. And then that's why they couldn't like top it off more. But do you remember that?
Yeah.
I literally was like, Matt, I didn't feel any. I was like, how much time passed? I still don't even know. Was it like hours?
Yeah. Well, it was a birthing meditation that was created for women that were having a home birth, no epidural, nothing. And so you were very much locked in.
I was
and
locked in.
You didn't realize that your epidural wore off.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Wow.
But it was
cool.
crazy. So
It's
I'm like,
so
there's
powerful.
something to this.
1,000,000%. There's a lot to it, actually.
Yeah, I need to learn.
Enlighten us. Like, give us a little background of your process and how you meditate. Because we want to learn from you.
Aw. So for me, it's all about like changing my energy, my state, right? So if you're living in stress, then your body's like knocked out of homeostasis. And when you're in homeostasis, you have energy to heal. I follow, his name's Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has like guided meditations, and they're very active. So they're not in the bath kind of meditations. It's very much like sitting up straight, closing your eyes. We do like a lot of breath work. And it's essentially like, what thoughts are you thinking? And it's one thing to be positive and be like, I'm going to have a great day today. But if your subconscious is like, you're actually having a really bad day today, like, I'm a victim and I'm in so much fear, it's like you're lying to your body and even to yourself. You think you're thinking positively, which is what I always was. I'm like, I'm so positive, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. So it took me like going past the analytical mind into my subconscious mind and recognizing like, oh, hey, like, actually I have a lot of thoughts of unworthiness, or I'm not enough, or I'm not doing enough, or, I have to be better and be more. And all of these really damaging thoughts for me anyways. And so I just spend my mornings saying like, okay, when this thought comes up today, because it will, you have 70 to 90,000 subconscious thoughts every single day.
Crazy.
And often they're the same that you had the day before. So you don't even know that you're kind of like in this little loop, right? And you get really addicted to stress hormones because the chemistry that you're producing is like cortisol. It's like a hit of a drug. So your body's like, ooh, where do we get our next stress from? So until you make the conscious choice, like, we're cutting it off here, and instead we're going to replace it with gratitude. I'm so healed, I'm so grateful, like joy, gratitude, these elevated emotions, then you're going to stay in that program, which is stress and I'm not enough. So
Are there
it's like
certain-
this active thing I do.
Are there certain mantras or sayings that you repeat to yourself to like remind your brain of, you know, how happy you are to be here and how happy you are to just like exist in this world? Like what are those sayings that you tell yourself?
Yeah, on the simplest level, I like project this little letter H in my mind. And H to me means like clean blood work, clean scans, like moving my body. Like I was prescribed hydromorphine to deal with the pain for the rest of my life, and I take nothing. Like I should be in technically all this pain, but I'm in no pain. So I always think of H as like this healing symbol, and then I just have all this gratitude for it. And today on the plane, I was meditating. I'm like, so weird. I put my eye mask on and my things, and everyone's watching TV, and I'm just like,
I couldn't be more proud of you.
and it was like the first time that I already feel like I'm living in my dream that I've been dreaming of for a year of complete healing. Like I just feel so healed that it doesn't really matter what comes next. Like I'm just in a really, really happy, grateful, joyous place.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. So
Thanks.
inspiring.
Thank you.
And so you're going through this process while having a newborn.
Yes.
How has the adjustment been from like you two being able to do anything on the fly to like newborn life?
That was the craziest thing of all. Honestly, like newborn moms are like up watching like reality TV to just get through it. I'm like trying to learn like neuroscience, quantum physics. Like I'm like, I got to make a change and I got to make it now. Like, you know what I mean? Like so I was literally up at 3 a.m. and now Eamon's trying to like catch up. And he's like, I'm like listening to what I was listening to a year ago. And I'm like, good for me. Like newborn mom learning quantum physics. I'm so
She's
proud.
spending like 2 hours a day meditating while having a newborn.
Wait, quantum physics is like meditation. Wait, what?
It's all like the science of the simplest form I would say is like, have you ever walked into a room and been like, oh, the energy's off? Like we're all just energy.
I think I'm not in tune with energies enough.
No?
Do you think I'm in tune with energies?
Have you ever been at a dinner party and someone says something and the energy changes?
Yes.
Exactly.
Energy.
It's just
Okay,
energy.
Okay.
So like the science of it all is wrapped up in quantum physics is what I'm saying.
Wow.
But I've always been really in tune with like energy and people, and like I know who I gravitate towards, and I'm intuitive and all of these things that I just knew and felt, and then there's science to sort of teach you what
I
it
feel that.
is.
I
Of
tell you
course.
that. I'm like, I think they're a good person, but there's something that I'm like, I don't think that will ever be like close. Like when I was like talking
Yeah,
to
you just know.
In communication too, like I think there's so much more than just the words you say that like make you vibe with somebody or not.
100%.
Like, and you can't really place something on it. You're like, I don't know what it is, but I want the best for them and they seem wonderful,
Yes,
but
that-
I don't think we're ever like we don't mesh for some reason as like close friends. But then there's the opposite where you like have those experiences and you're like, dude, we vibe so like we had an amazing time
Yeah.
with that person or that couple or whatever.
Because energy, not to like go crazy on it, but energy is all frequency. So frequency, like the frequency of Wi-Fi, for example, we can't see it, but it works. It has a bunch of information in it. So essentially all of our energies are like information talking to each other at all times. It's like, oh, like, yes, you and I are saying this, but you're looking at me, you're making eye contact. Like we're having like an energy exchange as much as we're having a verbal communication.
Or
exchange.
even like we were walking in the airport today and I could just feel, you know, certain people were my energy, right? And it's not like about how they looked or dressed, you know, it was just like an energy thing. Like, you know, you'd walk by them and you'd catch them in the eyes and it's just like, boom, that's an energy I would either want to hang out and be around or, and like 90% of them aren't. But it's like some people just, you know, you connect with.
Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this portion of today's episode.
Do you want to eat food that is healthy, tastes good, and can be ready in about 2 minutes?
Exactly 2 minutes.
They're fresh, never frozen. They come right to your door. I feel like we always see the Factor trucks driving around our neighborhood because they're taking over the world, guys. The food's good. I really like the sun-dried tomato chicken. That's probably my favorite Factor meal that I've had. What would you say is your favorite Factor meal,
I like
sweetie?
the garlic chicken thighs. Basically anything with those cauliflower mashed potatoes are so good and garlicky and so flavorful. You guys, with the fall time comes a lot of activities, but but you want to embrace those savory, delicious fall flavors, but without the meal prep, the meal planning, the grocery shopping. It's too much. Instead, we should make our plates full of Factor. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's so convenient, and it can be tailored to your specific goals because they have everything from gourmet plus to keto to calorie smart, vegan, and veggie. So you can always find something that suits you and your lifestyle. I usually get the protein plus because I'm a fairly active person. I want to make sure I'm getting a lot of protein in. I notice that's something that makes my body feel really energized and feel good for the rest of my day. So I love those options. They also have over 60 add-ons to keep you full and focused 24/7. They have juices and like snacks and shakes.
Yeah, the wellness shots are very tasty.
Wellness shots.
I love those.
They deliver straight to your door, like Matt said, fresh, never frozen. They're nutritious. They're chef-prepared meals. They're dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Head to factormeals.com/unplanned50 and use code unplanned50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code unplanned50 at factormeals.com/unplanned50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month.
Basically, I was given this intense diagnosis, and it was like,
It was stage 4. Mm-hmm. Wow.
so I either do something or I don't, and I knew that if I like went back into the patterns of like, oh, like putting on Friends or like reality TV is going to take my mind off of things, that I wasn't actually going to change, and I needed to change. Like I just
Or like not to talk about cancer too much, but like the food thing, like a lot of people, think it's all diet related, and we would get gifted these books, Chris Beat Cancer and all this stuff. And that's amazing if people, start changing their diet and start seeing results.
Yeah.
Like by all means, that works for them. But like we would read these recipes and it's like we were eating like this anyway,
yeah, we'd been plant-based.
So like how
for,
much
our whole-
more organic kale could we eat? Not much. We eat a lot of kale. Love kale.
Yeah.
Who's been someone that has surprised you with how they've come alongside you guys during this season with the cancer and then also raising a newborn and like I'm sure you have some like really cool family or friends that have like been there for you guys.
Totally. Like our entire inner circle. So we were living at our cabin, which is like really remote. And we knew when we gave birth, we'd come to the city. So all of our family lives in Toronto, and we were going to rent an apartment for my brother and in this triplex. And it was not ready. Like it was a construction zone, and Frankie was coming 6 weeks early. So everyone in our lives, like it makes me so emotional, like got together and created a home for us. It was just so incredible. And I know we're so worthy of it because we would do that for anyone in our lives too. But it was just the most amazing
Like we
way
walked in from like the last time we were there, it was like drywall on the ground. And we walked in and it was like
It's so gorgeous.
impeccable.
Like
cutlery put away, dish, little hand towels, and like just above and beyond,
cozy,
right? Cozy. Fireplace was going. We're like, whoa, we have a home to come home
That's
to.
incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was Frankie like in the hospital for a little bit afterwards being
she was
early?
in the NICU.
Okay.
Yeah, for 15 days. And then speaking of Kara and Nate, like we have so many amazing friends, but Kara has us on Find My Friends. So she would just literally know we were at the NICU, and she'd be like, hey, like breakfast is there in 5 minutes. And she would just order like piles of, like we could feed all the NICU parents essentially with all the food she would send. And it was like, if someone's going through something, saying, hey, I want to be there for you, what can I do? Almost puts it on the person. And it's like, oh, how can I tell them to help me? But someone like, she taught me so much about how to show up for people, because now I just send it, or I just get their address or where they are, or you just do the thing, or you make the meal and drop it off. You don't say like, hey, can I do this? And you don't need anything from them, or, you just put it on their doorstep, or you just send the food, and it means so much.
Wow.
We have the most incredible people in our lives. We're so, so blessed.
That's such a good like thing to hear too. As like someone that I want to be there for people, but just to be like, don't put it on their, like put it on them. Like just do.
Uber Eats gift cards are amazing. Because
Yeah.
you can send them $100 and it's just like order juice, order smoothies, whatever you want on your time.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
just like a
nice.
nice thing to do. Yeah.
Or if you have Find My Friends, creep your friends. And
Yeah,
like
that's
that
next
was
level.
so cool of Kara.
She texts, she's like, breakfast is here.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? Where?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And to the hospital. She'd just like figure it out. I know.
That's so thoughtful. I didn't know that was a
They're
thing.
the best.
I have like for a while, you know how like on Snapchat you can see where your friends are on Snapchat. Like in high school, I had that for a little bit. But Find My
SnapMap.
Friends, is that an app, or do you guys have?
Dude, you don't Find My Friends.
It's
Like-
on Apple, dude.
It's like the
okay.
iPhone,
Yeah.
Find My
Okay,
Friends.
That's true. Yeah, I have like my dad's location. He has
Yeah.
my location. Okay, I
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what you're saying.
Yes.
I have
yes.
a lot of people's,
Oh, nice.
like our family, like
Yeah.
Abby's and stuff. I have Morgan's.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
They're gonna start
Totally.
getting some gifts from you, I guarantee it. You see their location, just start sending them candy.
That's such a great idea. But so you were in the hospital after your C-section, but then was there a point where you had to like leave? And
Yes.
then, was that hard?
It was so horrible. I cried every night we left, and yet I knew like I need even like 6 hours of sleep to be able to show up and like, you know, change my energy, like be a new person the next day. So in a way it was a bit of a gift because we would go home and sleep. But then I spent all day, every day in the NICU. And
That's
you
hard.
spent so much time there too. But yeah, it was like no windows, no natural light. We just, yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of blessings in it too. We got like a crash course on how to take care of a preemie. The nurses there were amazing, teaching us like the bottle techniques and you know, so many little things. Like, you know, I can't believe when you're a young parent and they just send you home with the kid. You're like, I couldn't imagine that. I mean, you guys probably experienced that, right?
Isn't it crazy that our parents did this for us?
Yeah.
Like they raised little babies at one point, and you don't realize how much your parents did for you until you're doing it for your kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Makes you love them even more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I appreciate that you are vocal about how much work it is because I had no freaking idea. Like, no idea. I saw a cute family at a cafe and would be like, that's going to be me.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't much more thought than that. And I've been floored just with the one. Like, it's full on. It's just incredible lifestyle change. And it's now starting to show some of the rewards and benefits. She's 11 months now. And I'm like, people ask me like, oh, how's being a dad? And I've changed my script now. Like, it's the best.
Yeah.
But there were like 6 months where I was like, bro, like, don't do this. Not literally, but it was like,
Yeah.
It's good to have both. Like, it can be challenging, and there can be parts of it you're like, this is not a part that I find fun, but it can still be rewarding, something you would not have any different.
I think the older generation too was so different. Like from a guy's perspective, like my dad, I don't think he ever changed the diaper.
Exactly. That's very true.
So I don't think there were a lot of dads talking about how involved it is now. You know, 2024, the boys are doing some work.
Dude,
The
it
boys are
cracks me
changing
up
diapers now.
Every time my Abby's grandma, like it's one of your grandmas, that hypes me up, dude. It like it gives me so much.
She probably loves you.
Because she sees me just like I'm just being a dad. I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
Like I'm very involved with my kids.
You're an exceptional dad.
Thank you.
But I'm
it's
not
like
getting the same praise from grandma.
But it's funny because
Expected, eh?
as a dad, like you're seen holding a kid and people are like, you're an amazing father.
Yeah.
And then a mom could be like doing the most and it's like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. But especially from Abby's grandma's perspective, she's seen me change diapers, like, you know, do all these things for my kids.
Every time she sees him, it's really sweet. I don't resent this at all. But like, she'll just look him dead in the eyes. She'll stop and she'll be like, Matt, you are an amazing dad. Like, so sincere.
But you are.
I hope she never hears this because I feel so good. I'm like, thank you, Vicky. You're
There's
amazing.
nothing wrong with her hearing this. I would tell her, be like, Grandma, where's the praise?
Yeah.
Like,
But hey, tell a mom how amazing they are, though, because I
Totally.
feel like we need to remind moms about like they do the most for their kids, and oftentimes it goes unnoticed. So like,
1,000,000%. I'm obsessed with women. I love women, and
Same.
I love moms. So I
Yes.
don't know you, but I think you're an amazing mom.
you too.
Thank you. I know
you.
you're an amazing mom, actually.
Thank
I
you
just
so
know,
much.
you know.
Women are incredible. I'm obsessed with all women.
yeah, and seeing
So
your
much
wife,
respect.
seeing your wife like carry a baby, give birth to that baby, go through postpartum, like it's incredible. And what our wives are able to do is just like unbelievable. So you guys are cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think
I
you
agree.
shared on a recent podcast about like having maybe disappointment about like your breastfeeding journey, not being able to breastfeed. Did you want to like, was that a hope that you had your whole pregnancy up until the cancer diagnosis?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think even conceiving was a miracle because when you've been through chemotherapy, there's no, there's no thing, nothing that says you will be able to.
Well, we
conceive.
did IVF before, right? So because of the treatment, they said, look, if you guys want to have kids, I would recommend doing this. So we have 5 frozen embryos.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
But that's not how we conceived Frankie. We just conceived her naturally. So it was already like such a blessing and a gift. And the whole time, I guess, like in the probably subconsciously, I was saying I wouldn't be able to breastfeed, and then look, it happened. But I was prepared that it might not happen for me. But again, I was this holistic person. I like think that breastfeeding is such a beautiful gift for mom and baby, and it was definitely something I wanted for Frankie and I. And so having that not be realized for us was like really, really challenging, and really confronted me with a whole lot of the negative self-talk of like, I'm not good enough. And, you know, it's just, there's so much wrapped up in nurturing your child and connecting with your child like that. But I mean, we just did skin to skin all day, every day. And we're so connected, and she's so happy and thriving. And
Yeah.
but definitely a challenging time. And I know that women can't breastfeed for so many reasons.
Right.
And there's so many challenges that can come up. So I'm just really grateful, honestly.
Was it because of the cancer? Or was it like you just didn't produce milk or?
Yeah. So my one breast, so I found the cancer initially in the right breast, and it had been radiated. So nothing came out of that one. The other one did start producing, but because of the diagnosis at the time, and like we weren't sure about treatment, and just like the cancer in the blood, I was just advised like basically let it dry up.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that was more of like a blanket statement. They weren't sure.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't have much data on whether it's safe or not safe. And I think they just said like, let's err on the side of caution.
Fortunately and unfortunately, like for me, but fortunately, not a lot of young women have breast cancer with, you know, a child. And it was just like a lot was happening for my doctors, who I love too. You know, they are doing their best. I really believe that. So yeah, that was
makes
just the
sense.
journey.
And I'll be honest with you guys, I was today years old when I found out that you weren't married. I just completely assumed, I guess. I was like, oh yeah, they have a baby, like they're married and stuff.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the idea to have a kid while you're engaged, because that is like, that's a big deal. Like that's very, yeah, I guess untraditional. So I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I think we've just always been really untraditional. We are so married. Like to me, marriage is a commitment to one another. And, you know, I don't know many married couples who like spend as much time together and are as intertwined and
I'll bet you
in
we
love.
would beat 1,000 married couples on who knows each other better. Like guaranteed. So yeah, so it's for us, like marriage wasn't that important to us. Like we were focused on traveling and building our businesses, and you know, it just felt like, are we really going to slow down and plan a wedding and do the wedding that our parents wanted us to do? And so it just really didn't feel like it was the right time.
Yeah.
And our love is strong. And, you know, I you know, we both told each other how much we mean to each other and all that stuff. So it just really kind of fell to the back burner, and we wanted to start a family. And now that we're at a point where, you know, we can actually afford a wedding, we're getting married, and it's going to be amazing.
That's so exciting.
crazy.
We were watching your YouTube video today about your plans for your wedding, and I was cracking up, Eamon, with you saying, yeah, I'm going to come in on my jet board.
Yeah,
and like,
buddy.
You know, and there's going to be like water everywhere. We're going to be on a boat with the whole ceremony.
Yeah.
How did you, like, was this all your idea? It's screaming Eamon to me that getting married on the water was your idea. Am I right about that?
So the lake lifestyle has been a big part of both our lives. Bec grew up going to a cottage, and I grew up going to a cottage. So when we were able to buy that land and have a cottage of our own, it was so special. Like there's a clip of us, you know, I don't know, 8 years ago being like, oh, our dream once we move out of the van is to buy a cottage. So getting to be at the point where we now built this amazing home, we definitely want to get married there. And we have a big dock, and we were thinking about doing the ceremony on the dock, and then, you know, add more adventure to it. Like, why not just have fun with it, you know?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
This jet board, though, is that a different name for a foil, like an electric foil?
Yeah, so there's a video of Nate, our friend Louie, and I, and we rented these e-foils. Have you seen these?
Yes.
Yeah, and we crossed the English Channel, and we actually failed, but
From England to
we
France.
attempted.
That is so cool.
And they're so fun, and you guys should come up to the cabin. I don't own one yet, but I'm working on it, and we're gonna get a couple up there. And I was thinking of how dope it would be, like in a full suit. You know, everyone's standing on the ceremony, like jetboarding in, then stepping off the jetboard onto the dock. Maybe I'll fall and I'll be soaking wet, but I think that would be funny.
Those are really hard to ride, though, aren't they?
Yeah,
Because
but I've got a year to figure it out.
Okay, because I've
Is
seen
gonna
that when
master
it is?
it.
It's a year from now.
September 6th.
September.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting, you guys.
It's actually so cool because we have other friends who have had 2 kids and been engaged for a long time, and they just got married last summer. And what it is when you've been together for so long is truly a celebration of love. Like
Yeah.
I know that marriage, when it's like right in the beginning, is also that, but I think this is such a unique opportunity for everyone. Our lives are so combined. Our families are so combined. Like it's just a celebration of all of us, really. And
We lived in Australia for a year and a half, so I feel like we have a life there. And then we started this YouTube internet thing, so we've got friends that are all over the world. And so we've never had like a weekend where everyone's going to be in the same place. And it's going to be like, you know, a collection of our life.
And you have Frankie to join you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, she'll walk down the aisle.
Wait, what?
Yes.
That's really cute.
Yeah. It's going to be incredible. And we have such like fun people in our lives. Like Louis is going to DJ some of it. Our friends are going to sing us down the aisle. It's like everyone's going to bring what they do best. And it's just going to be like this retreat weekend. And it's going to be perfect.
Because you guys have been together for like 12 years?
Yeah, since 2013.
Would there be a world where you could also e-foil? Like, maybe not in the wedding
Matt,
dress.
I love this. Why not?
You maybe
Why
skydive.
friggin' not?
You
I would be
skydive then.
terrified,
Maybe
though.
I skydive.
Like, what if you fell in the water and like your dress gets waterlogged and then you can't, like, you drown? I don't know. That's
Drown,
terrifying.
maybe not, but anything else, why not?
But yeah, there was actually when we were leaving our wedding venue to go to the hotel, I was terrified Abby's dress was gonna get caught on fire by all the sparklers that were going off. Like that wedding dress can be an actual hazard.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of it.
Is it flammable, your dress?
Probably.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was like a big ball
But
gown.
that
I got
would be
it in
cool.
the discount area of the
I love it.
If you
I don't
guys
know what
could,
it's made out of.
yeah, if you guys could figure out a way to do that, that'd be the most epic wedding I've ever seen.
It's funny. We realized we're not very good at planning things, so we hired like a wedding planner, and we're interviewing these people, and we're just like throwing out ideas. And she's like, "Yeah, I think we can make that happen." So we'll see. We got a girl now who's gonna.
Eamon wants
Bring
to
the
have
dreams
like a
to life.
tattoo artist like on site. We're gonna do it over like 4 days. So he's like free tattoos. We're gonna do breath work all together, meditations. It's gonna be like a full retreat weekend
Massage,
for everyone.
ice baths.
That could not be more different from our wedding, I'll be honest with you.
What was your wedding like?
So
I'd love to hear
traditional.
about it.
Ball gown. It was just so by the book.
But it was probably just exactly.
I mean, I wouldn't
Perfect.
change anything about
Yeah.
it. It's just so different. Like also I was 20.
Yeah.
So here's
We
a
got married.
question though: if you were to plan your wedding now, what would you do? Would it be different?
See, here's the thing about me.
Tell
I'm
me about
a pretty
you.
traditional person.
You do the exact same.
I love like everyone has his own thing. I'm like, I love that. I love that. I love that. For me, I'm pretty traditional. I'm like an old person at heart.
I feel like whenever we travel, I always randomly have conversations with old men at the airport, and the piece of advice they always give me every single time is, if I ever have to tell you anything, it's happy wife, happy life. Like,
No, if they've
you
been
need to
married
learn-
for like 50 years, we're like, what's your secret? Every time they're like, happy wife, happy life.
So I feel like if we got married now, I'd literally just be like, you literally do everything.
I also didn't plan anything for my wedding. My mom did planned our wedding. His mom helped a lot too. And so I also wouldn't change that either. I wouldn't want to plan it myself now.
Yeah,
either,
that's
'cause
kind of how we are. We're like, we don't want to do any of the work, but we have a lot of great ideas. So
we have a lot of things that we want other people to coordinate.
Yes.
That's so fun.
Like food trucks, like we want to like the night before or 2 nights before, just do like 10 different food, like a festival. Honestly,
That's
it's going to
cool.
be amazing.
Well, that's what I love about you guys is you do things differently, and that
Outside
is
the
cool. That is cool. Like,
Thank you.
I love it when you. I don't know. It like life can be so boring sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
why? If everybody was the same, if everybody looked the same and talked the same and acted the same, this would be a really boring world. So we need people like you that do things differently that make you go, huh? Maybe I should foil into my wedding ceremony. Maybe we should get tattoos and like do a 4-day celebration. Heck, like why not? Why not meditate with my whole entire wedding party before? Like, I don't know. It's just it's different, and that is so cool.
That is really cool.
Thanks,
guys.
Matt. Yeah. You know, I didn't realize how different we were until we were sitting here telling you.
No.
Yeah, honestly, it was just like my normal. It feels normal, traditional for us.
And I guess all our friends are kind of like non-traditional too.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, and then you should do this. We're like, yeah, we should.
I definitely think like when you get faced with something like cancer, you know, nothing's so serious. You know, like what are you gonna die like wishing you had a tattoo? Like, get the friggin' tattoo, man.
Yeah.
Just have a little fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that perspective.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any cool tattoos?
Eamon has so many.
I got
have
a
one.
bunch, yeah.
I just have a teeny tiny one.
What's the meaning of your tattoo?
Gosh, not to go back to energy. My tattoo story is so cool. Like, I really believe that when you're like in tune with the universe, with God, whatever you want to call that, like universal energy, signs just come at you from everywhere. And so the day I wanted this tattoo, I had so many crazy signs. I'll tell you guys about them. And yeah, it's basically like, this is me, like the smaller energy, and the energy around me is the energy you can't see. And that's what's healing me and what I have to keep feeding love to. And yeah, it's just like my little reminder, like, keep going.
Well, Bec was like, so like against tattoos. Like her parents were, thought they were the worst.
Yeah, I was going to be like kicked out of the house if I ever.
And so her first tattoos were actually like her radiation tattoos. And I was like, oh, like how lame is that? Like you have tattoos technically now, and you had to get them because of your treatment. And so like, I feel like that changed for you. We're like, well, I'm going to get a tattoo.
Yeah. So just
and now I think she's going to go all out. She's talking about getting a butterfly back here.
It's the most beautiful butterfly one. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'm so naive. What is a radiation tattoo? Is
Yeah,
it
I
some
was
sort of
gonna
mark you
say.
get from radiation?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you receive radiation, they want to make it really targeted. So you're not getting any radiation where you don't need it. So they literally scan you and they make sure that like the coordinates essentially. And then when you go in for radiation, they on your little tattoo. So they're just like teeny tiny.
They're just
like,
black dots.
Just dots. So yeah, for like a year, people would be like, "Do you have a tattoo?" I'm like, "I have 4." They're just like little dots.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But they eventually go away, or they're
No,
still
no,
there?
they're
No,
like
it's
permanent
with a tattoo
tattoos.
gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
I guess they don't want to run the risk of ever having it off by a little bit or something. So they fully, and one of them's like on my rib. Like, again, I'm pretty tough, but it was like, oh,
That's a sticky spot.
yeah.
That's so.
Is there an
I'm
ice cream
sorry.
truck
Here's the
outside?
ice cream
I literally,
truck.
yeah, I'm like, that's my ADHD. I'm like, why is there an ice cream truck in our studio? But I think it's just.
Did you order ice cream first?
Did you guys get a whole festival lineup for the podcast?
No. Okay, maybe that's something we'd do differently if we
That
had
would
if we got
be-
married now. We'd have an ice cream truck there.
Actually, yes.
Go girl, dream big.
Me, I'm like, oh, we're just married at the end of the day, and we don't have to plan it. It sounds great.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
also would be an epic way to end the podcast with like, surprise, we have an ice cream truck here with everything that you want.
We're just like all of a sudden in the ice cream truck recording.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm down.
That would actually be an epic place to film a podcast is
Yeah.
within the ice cream truck itself.
Yeah, step it up, man. You're not doing enough.
Or maybe not. Maybe they're kind of gross. And maybe you actually don't want to be inside that.
I think
thing.
the
don't know.
audio would be pretty rough.
Oh yeah.
Just ding, 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 ding.
You guys would know you lived in a van for 5 years.
Seriously. Honestly, you think you have a great place to like record the intro for a video or something, and it's like, meh, or like literally in Morocco, like a camel goes by. Like it's just crazy.
Who could have predicted this?
There's no studio. Yeah.
I'm curious. So, like, for me, my, like, how I was raised and how I've, like, thought about view on marriage and relationships, like, it's always like, well, if you're married, you have that to, like, keep you together, to keep you bound. But then you being like, we were already married without all of these formalities. Like, when did that decision happen, and how did you stay together? Because I'm sure that it wasn't totally easy, like living in a van together. You're like always, you might be stepping on each other's toes. You're in close quarters. You're working together at the same time. Was there ever a time where you were like, maybe we part ways, or maybe, or you always had this? Like, I'm just so curious because it's so opposite of like how we were raised.
Honestly, the coolest part about our relationship is not once have I ever felt anything but stability, a knowingness that this is my person, that we're in this together. Like genuinely from the bottom of my heart, it's like a more deep connection than a marriage certificate could ever be for us, like ever. And I feel like when you know is like, people can, but we just knew, and it was all,
Yeah, we
it was
never
almost
had
unspoken.
We never had the thought of like me and you. It was always us, right? We never spoke that way. Like you ask about finances, it was just never like you owe me $20. Like it was just like, I think because we started as friends and we had like such a strong relationship and working together, and it was just effortless. There was that one time in Australia where
but
you
it
went
wasn't-
out with your friends and then you weren't answering my texts. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And I kind of had a little bit of fear that like she was cheating on me. And yeah, and then I got home and I was like, what's wrong with you? Why are you answering me?
And I had broken
You'd
my
broken
foot.
her foot.
Oh,
How did you break your foot?
Oh, I just had a like drunk night out with my colleagues at work, essentially. And
I mean, when I'm saying that story, it kind of sounds bad, but there was something like, or maybe you called and you were short with me or something.
I think that at that time we had just never spent any time apart because we were traveling like full time together. But
Yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, it was never like oh, we're broke. Because on my end, I was just having a good time. I didn't know that you were at home.
Yeah, it was the
stressing.
only time where I felt like insecure about our relationship.
And that was like 6 months in or something like
Yeah.
that. We had moved to Australia, and I went out with like people at work after work. And Aw.
So-
I didn't realize you were still holding on to that, babe. Good to let it out.
Yeah.
Good
Were
to
you
let it
able
out.
Look, when
to-
you're able to lock down a 10 like this, like, you know, you're just counting your blessings.
Aw. Thank you to Dreamland for sponsoring this portion of today's episode.
You guys probably already know this, but our boys have pretty much always slept in their Dreamland gently weighted sleep sacks. We actually love the product so much that we give them out to our friends if they're expecting a baby, just because we want to bless people, and they're really good gifts.
Yeah, they're designed with this cover calm technology. So basically, it's evenly distributing weight from the baby's shoulders to their toes. And so they feel like they're getting a nice cozy hug all night long. It really helps them reduce stress, helps relax them, fall asleep faster, and stay asleep longer and connect those sleep cycles. It's crazy because like Griffin's sleep sack is huge at this point. It looks really cozy and he loves it. He says to us, sleep sack, sleep sack. He just knows that's part of his routine. You can tell that whoever designed these sleep sacks designed them with kids in mind. They're extremely durable. Wash after wash, baby after baby. They're made with 100% soft natural cotton, very nice material, and they have this double zipper situation so you can change your diapers in the middle of the night. Very easy if you need to, or in the morning or at night. They're just designed with kids in mind, and they're an amazing product, and I think that they're an amazing gift for new parents. It's basically giving them the gift of sleep, which is invaluable.
There is nothing that you need more as a new parent than sleep. I mean, I'm telling you, if you can just like snap your
It's the
fingers
number
and
one issue for new parents.
yeah.
We can't recommend Dreamland enough. We are extending the use of our Dreamland as long as possible. Technically on the sleep sack, it says up to 36 months. Griffin is past that, but he still loves it. And
36 months that's 3 years, honey.
oh, great. I love that they still have that available for his perfect age. Happy early Black Friday shopping from Dreamland, baby. You guys, listen up right now. This discount is incredible. Use our code Unplanned for the buy one, get one free deal from our favorite baby brand, Dreamland Baby. Our code Unplanned will work site-wide on both non-weighted and weighted products, PJs, and more, as long as they are of equal or lesser value. Feel free to mix and match, but note this is final sale. Use my code Unplanned at checkout. This is a great way to stock up on Dreamland Baby products or to give us gifts.
My follow-up question would be like, why now? Like, why get married now at this point?
Just to celebrate.
Okay, fine.
Really. Like, it felt like, why not?
I also call her my wife, and she calls me her husband, and like it just kind of feels like, yeah, like why not? For me, the big thing is like I want to be a unit. I want our kid has the last name Fitzgerald. She's still a Maroney, so I think like having that family certificate of like, you know, let's go to the doctor's office. Fitzgerald's, come on in, like.
It's
I don't
funny.
know.
It's almost like a societal thing, like the actual marriage certificate part of
Yeah.
it, like being legally married. I mean, we're common law and all of the things are together, and our taxes have been together for like 12 years. But the wedding is purely just for fun.
That's
Just
cool.
a celebration.
Are you taking his do you already have his last name?
No, I don't have it. I'm going to take it.
Oh, wow.
We'll see.
That's a little bit of a debate still.
Oh, really?
so-
Oh, you didn't want to.
It's a debate.
I just feel like, why does it have to, like, why didn't you take mine, you know? We definitely had a debate.
Yeah, I mean,
I do things differently, Matt.
Yeah. Okay.
He's looking at
and
me
like I act like I'm not traditional, but for me, it's like a very important thing. I don't know why.
Well, what's Frankie's last name?
Fitzgerald.
Okay.
His.
So we made
Yeah.
that decision. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm not going there.
Well, I don't like. I do not care what other people do with their last names. I'm just so curious because we've actually met all kinds, like hyphenated. We've seen. I actually haven't seen where the man's taken the wife's last name though. Actually.
No,
Wouldn't
well,
that be great?
Yeah, well, one of our friends, they both took each other, so it's hyphenated, and the other, I think they both just kept their own. I'm
like
pretty
she
sure.
kept her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some people make their maiden name their middle name.
That's cool. Like the kids then.
Well, didn't your mom?
Yeah,
do that?
my mom did that, but I don't know. Have we met somebody that the husband took the
No.
wife's last name? But like, hey, to
I
each
could
their
be
own.
the first.
It's very 2024.
I know, but it is very, very 2024. So yeah, why would you? Talk to me about your hesitancy with that. I'm so curious.
I think just growing up, like I always thought like the guys carry on the last name. So I've
Yeah.
internalized that as like, that's like their tradition.
Yeah.
I feel very connected to like my dad's family and like you know, I'm really proud of being a Fitzgerald. I have a Fitzgerald
It's a
crest.
good last name.
Yeah, so's Maroney. It's also
Yeah,
a good
actually,
last
they both
name.
are really fun last names.
Yeah, those are cool.
So it's not much deeper than that. It's really just like I always thought when I find a wife, we're going to become the
It's
Fitzgeralds.
not like a property thing.
No.
No.
And so for me to break that would feel like I would really need to do some therapy about it. I don't know.
I just want to counter it for like all of the women. I identify as a Maroney. I am so proud to be a Maroney. I, you know, love my family unit. And so to not carry on the name just because tradition says you take the man, like, do you know what I mean?
Did you think, like growing up,
I never really thought about it, to be honest. I wasn't the kind of girl who was like, oh, I can't wait to get married. And clearly, I'm like 13 years in and haven't even gotten married. That never mattered to me. So it was like, then all of a sudden thinking about it, I'm like, oh, well, why do we I guess I like to just say, like, why do we do these things?
I like that.
You know?
I like that you're going to question it.
Thank you. But you don't want me to push it much further than that.
Well, look, Frankie's already a Fitzgerald.
Yeah, the reason that I'm down to switch.
How good does Frankie Fitz sound?
Oh, that's
That is
so
sick.
good.
So
Right.
cute.
That is pretty sick.
Is that when you travel, if you don't have the same last name as your kid, as the mom, you need a letter that says from the dad, this is my child, at least in Canada, I don't know. Like, I am allowed to, I am the mom, like signed by the dad, which just.
What?
See? Yes, because technically I don't have her last name. So how
Like,
can I
whose kid is
prove
that?
that's my kid?
You need an actual letter.
From him.
Does it have to be a physical letter?
I think so.
Like, can you just have it
If
scanned on your
you've
phone?
never traveled alone
I haven't
with Frankie.
traveled with Frankie alone.
That's
But wouldn't that
crazy.
be wild? So I'm like, okay, I'll be a Fitzgerald.
That is
It's
so
almost
I have
logistical at this point. Yeah.
How did you hear that was a thing?
Oh, my sister was telling me because she took her husband's last name and I was kind of giving her like, well, why? You know, like women, let's go. And she was like, oh, well, because I want to travel with her and I'm not going to do the whole letter thing. I'm like, what letter thing? But it's a real thing. Like I've backed it up. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Yeah.
And not to like talk about ourselves on this podcast, but
No, I
hearing
want
your
to.
journey
Tell
about
me.
like with your relationship and marriage, it's so interesting because we did everything like obviously very traditionally, yet I feel like I have the same mentality, like an approach towards our relationship where as soon as we started dating, it was like us and nothing else. Like it was like always moving like towards us having a life together. And there was like not like a single time where I wasn't like you might not be my person. Like that's not to say that there weren't hard times and we didn't have conflict and stuff, but like it was always us. And there was never a time where I ever thought about my future with literally anybody else. But that, and like, it wasn't like on our wedding day, I was like, now it's us. It didn't feel like totally different, but it was so cool that like now we were a family in like society's eyes.
So,
Totally.
but don't you think you just got extremely lucky? Like, for how old were you guys when you met?
We met when we were
we met when we were
at
14.
14 and we started dating at 17 and 18 and then got married at 20 and 21.
So I just think that's incredible. Because like if I had even told you what my favorite color was when I was 17, it might be totally different. Right? So like how the heck does that happen?
We grew together. You know how
Yeah.
they say like trees, like they form their roots like around what's around them. Like we were together, and like I'm really glad that 17-year-old me came across like such a great guy like Matt, because my roots would have been formed with somebody else that like might have been really unhealthy for me.
Yeah.
So like I don't ever push young marriage unless I like know the people and I'm like, oh, like what you have going is great, or like if like you know where we did get lucky to like some degree like to cross paths when we did.
But
You
what's
got
cool,
lucky, but you also like make
You
it
worked
work.
at it.
Like
Yeah.
We did counseling when we were dating, like with other, and we had mentors, and we also like we read books together. Like we did so many like prep things too to
Totally.
like make sure that it was like not just acting on emotions.
Yeah, just to
and stuff.
reiterate that, like relationship is work. It's not like
Yeah.
it's totally effortlessly all the time.
like we are.
we still fight
1000%,
about like the very common things in our relationship.
but we're a unit. And
But
it's,
we're a
like,
unit. At the end of the
never
day, like
crossing
I'll
lines.
look for the thing you need me to look for.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
She's like,
I'm over that. I'm not bringing that up.
Clearly.
I would never think to bring that one up again.
wait, okay. Can I know what you're referring to?
It's one of my pet peeves is like, you know, everything kind of should have a home, right? So like the scissors go in like the top left drawer. Sometimes the scissors are like in the bathroom, you know?
Because
so
I had to do something with Frankie and she needed the scissors and it's like,
just
I'm an
like,
amazing mom.
and then we
I'm
spend 2
running
hours
around.
looking for them, and you know, it's just like one
Wait,
of the
that's
things.
Matt. With your phone, with your car keys, I'm always like, check
Don't
your
you have a
pockets,
Tesla,
check
bro?
your
You have car keys?
We
yeah,
do
we have
have a
one
regular
car with
car.
regular keys, and
Oh,
that one
doesn't that feel
cannot-
like old tech?
Yeah,
I can't
honestly does.
stand car
Before the
keys
And
now.
it's a key,
Yeah.
your wallet, your ID.
Does it drive you nuts?
I think at this point I'm just like, that's one of those. There's things that he does that drive me nuts. Don't get me wrong, but this is the one where I'm like, that's just mad. Like I'm like, everyone, that's just.
What amazes me about women, though, I feel like women have this superpower where they can just find things so quickly. Like Abby will be like, "Can you go look for this one thing?" And I try so hard.
I'm like, don't make me get up right now.
And it takes her 5 seconds to find it. I'm like, how did you know? Like, how did you know where the thing was? I had no idea. I really tried. I truly did. It's incredible.
Have you seen the Miss Rachel skit where it's like you ask your husband to find something and you can't find it, and she's like, "Where are your eyes? Where could they be?"
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like the husband just cannot find it. It's like right here. I go and I open it. I'm like, it's literally right there.
No, I say look with your eyes, Matt.
Where are your eyes, Matt?
Because he's just like, I don't see it.
What
And
I-
I'm like, no, look.
What I love about you guys, though, is like we took completely different journeys, but I feel like we ended up in kind of the same spot.
Same.
Right? And so just kind of echoing like there's no rule book to life. Like everyone is going to do things differently. And regardless of what decision you decide to make or what decision you don't decide to make, like you're going to have your own unique life. And maybe what works for you doesn't work for somebody else. But that because it doesn't work for somebody else doesn't mean that it's something you shouldn't do.
Totally.
And so, like for us, getting married young was a decision we decided to make, and you guys being together as long as you have not married, like everyone is on their own complete journey, and that is 100% okay.
Totally. Love that, Matt.
Yeah.
I agree. I concur.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
I think it's beautiful, and I think if more people accepted that, we'd see a much happier world.
yeah.
You know, when you look at like religions that start picking at other religions
Yep.
and start thinking, oh, this person's wrong,
Yep.
that's where you lead to war, you lead to hate.
Yep.
You know, and if everyone was just like a little bit more accepting that everyone's on a different path, then we'd all just accept each other in love, man. We'd all hold each other's hands and boost each other up. And
Yeah.
What's amazing too is like when you really dig into the core values of like why people believe like certain things politically or religiously, it usually comes down to very similar values.
100%.
And you just have to realize like, look, we had completely different upbringings. We grew up in different places. We were taught different religions. Like so much of our life is different. And because of that, it shaped who we are. But when we look at like the core of who we are as humans, like we care about the same things. Like we care about family, our family and our friends and our children. And like we want to see the world better. And I think we need to be reminded of that because if
we're all
if we
humans. We're all just the same.
Yeah,
We're all just monkeys on this friggin' spinning rock, right? It's not much more complicated than that.
Yeah.
You guys just launched your own podcast.
Relaunched.
Relaunched your
Yes.
your podcast, Reroute with Eamon and Bec. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you guys feeling about that?
So great. Like in such alignment. I feel like YouTube started to become a place of like pacing or anything really. Even though it was long format, we were really conscious like, okay, that scene's run too long. And I don't want to cut off what we have to say. Like I just think the people in our lives and just our own story just deserve some breathing room. And I'm so excited. Yeah,
I was feeling like a little bit creatively drained from just the pacing of YouTube and you know, just making another vlog because that's our job. So I feel like for us, like switching it up and diving into this medium, and we're invested a lot into making it a proper show, and I got a lot of guidance from you as well, so I appreciate that. But yeah, I do feel excited about it. I mean, it's a weird thing to think like I can sit down and have something to say for 2 hours and people are going to listen. But, you know, I think we just authentically be ourselves, and, you know, we've got stories to share and people I'd love to sit down and interview. And yeah, I think it's going to be really impactful. We've had some amazing comments already, and yeah, I'm excited to take over the studio tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you for
We
letting
get
us
to be
do
on
that.
your podcast. I'm
Yes,
excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
And thank you guys for your tea company. Like
Does this mean we're having another baby, Matt?
Oh my
Come
gosh.
on, maternity blend.
I tried your chai. I'm a big chai fan. Very good.
Thank you,
very
bro.
good. And I think the branding is so
It's
cool.
so
It's so
nice.
simple, and I feel like it definitely embodies your vibe. And so I think it's very on brand for you guys.
Thank you. The whole idea behind Habit is like to bring back conversation. So having traveled so much, we see that tea is still like this come in for tea and have a chat, and so it's actually like they're all speech bubbles, like you can barely tell, but the two things are
cute.
so it's like bringing like the new age of like maybe you text your friend like thinking of you or whatever. So we have conversation starters with every package that goes out, and it's really about human connection. So it's tea.
I love that.
I love those conversation cards.
Oh,
I
we
thought
did
that
that
was
one
so
day.
cool when you guys sent us habit tea. I was like, I love that they have these conversation cards because they're one of my favorite things to do when friends or family around.
Yes.
Sometimes you just like can't think of an interesting topic to talk about, and those cards can bring out so many cool conversations.
That's exactly what we're saying, man. We're actually launching a full deck, and it comes with like a cool stand. So just leaving them on their coffee table.
Oh, we're getting that.
We'll send you one. And it's so cool because we have it on our coffee table, but we could just be hanging with like the most random people. We have the triplex, people are coming in and out, and then someone will just look at it and grab one. And then just, all of a sudden it goes from like a surface, let's talk about the weather, to like, when's the last time you cried?
Well, you guys definitely go drink their tea. Habit is so good. I love the conversation cards, and if you haven't already listened to their podcast, you definitely should. It is so good.
I'm going to be a weekly listener. I love your guys' perspective, and you guys have obviously had so many cool experiences together. Like, I'm sure you got lots to talk about. So
Oh,
it'll
thank
be
you, guys.
entertaining for sure.
Yeah, thank you guys for being on the show. Anywhere else people can find you guys on social? Where should they check you guys out?
They can type my name as many different ways as they want. They'll find us. Eamon. Or even if you just type Eamon Bec, you'll see our channel. Just forget about the Eamon guy. Eamon Bec.
Eamon.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're Eamon Bec on YouTube, and our podcast is called Reroute. So we'd love to have you join us if something resonated today.
And as always,
Peace out, dudes!